poem is a fascinating genre in itself. Of course, the first time you look at a poem, what you immediately notice is the language in the poem, the way words have been beautifully woven into the texture of the poem. But apart from that, a poem has many other possibilities. A poem could be visual. It could be a visual treat for you in that it conjures up scenes and images right in front of your eyes. A poem can also be inspired by visuals, by paintings, by photographs, or just by visual scenery around you in real life. In this video, I'm going to give you a particular writing exercise. That is, whenever you are stuck and you want to write a poem but you're not getting any ideas, then you can make use of this particular exercise. It's a very simple and fun exercise. All it involves is that you have to select a couple of images, pictures. It could be paintings, photographs. It could be even your own photographs. Just select, let's say, 4 to 5 images, and then the challenge is to write a poem, maybe on all of those images or at least one of those images. You can even select pictures from the internet. So make a list of these images, select these images, and then give yourself this task of writing a poem. I said at least on one of these images, and the task is time bound. You have to select the images together, and the moment you select those images, just from all those images, just pick up one image and try and write a poem at least on that one image. If you want, you can do 2 also, but I think 1 is a good number to begin. And as I said, this will be exercise as long as you do it spontaneously. So immediately after selecting images, you have to write the poem. If you wait for the next day, then the exercise is spoiled. When I was thinking of this exercise yesterday, when I was making up this tutorial, then I also wrote a poem on one of the images that I came up with. I came up with several images, and now I'm going to show you these images, the ones I came up with. So the first image I picked up is a very dreamy image. It features a moon far above the clouds, the image of a moon, and there's a ladder going up to the moon. And in the picture, it looks like, there's a guy standing on that ladder, and he's a paintbrush in the hand and a bucket, and he's sort of painting the moon. This is the first image. The second image is like an expressionist painting, and it's image of a house, maybe a beautiful house somewhere in the woods, being literally surrounded by flowers. Flowers and bushes, by wilderness, but beautiful wilderness. The third image I picked up is the image of a cityscape. Basically, it could be a local street in any metropolitan city. It looks like a European street, with all those shops and establishments on the street corner and those names. And the style is, it looks like a European street painting. And now let's look at these images one by one and see how can we write a poem on these images. So the first image, the image of the moon, and the guy, climbing up the staircase towards the moon, painting the moon. So you can, whatever comes to your mind immediately, you can take down those words or ideas. The first thing, of course, the moon. The image is about the moon. Then there is this guy painting the moon. So what comes to your mind, looking at this visual? Maybe you're thinking about the first guy who ever went to the moon. Maybe you're thinking about the ambition of human beings, that they want to touch the moon. Or maybe you're thinking about, an artist painting the moon. Write these things that you're thinking about. You could write these sentences: an artist painting the moon, a man climbing the moon onto the ladder. You can even write down these sentences, whatever comes to your mind. And then, based on those ideas, you have to write a poem. Believe me, it will be a fun and interesting task. Of course, depending on what you thought of the image, everybody's poem will be different. The second image which I showed you is image of these flowers, these flowers, shrubs surrounding this, what looks like a house, little house, like a cottage kind of a thing. So what comes to my mind immediately when I look at this image is like, a little fairy tale kind of a house somewhere in the woods, being surrounded by this beautiful wilderness. So I can write a poem on this fairy tale house. It's what really came into my mind. Maybe something else can come to your mind, Maybe there is sort of a maiden in that house waiting to be rescued, a damsel in distress. So you could write a poem on those lines. Or maybe you immediately, seeing this painting, seeing this picture, what comes to your mind immediately is environment, and just the sheer beauty of nature. So you could write a nature poem. Or maybe, there is some mystery in this house, there's some thieves hidden in this house, there's some treasure in this house shielded by all this wilderness. So I know my imagination is a bit crazy, but I think your imagination has to be crazy if you want to write poems. So, of course, depending on your own interpretation, the poem will be different. The third visual, and I'm going to share you my poem. I told you I wrote a poem on this visual. I wrote it immediately only, like this exercise. So the third visual is about this cityscape, the street in what looks like a European city, I think. And I think it's a very... it looks like a painting, of course. It's a very thought-provoking painting. The street is empty. It's not a busy street. And I think the street gives you, some kind of a feeling of like pathos, a certain kind of feeling of loneliness in city life. I get that feel from the imagery, the three illustrations, people standing on the corner quietly. So I do get that kind of feeling of pathos, a certain kind of sadness maybe related to city life. So now I'll just share my poem on this particular image. So the poem I wrote is called Zombie in the City. Let's listen to the poem. It's based on the third image. Zombie in the city. I thought of a moon painting the city at night. Stars hanging out from the roadside windows like wondrous magic lanterns. I thought of a man with a smile and a woman with love in her eyes, crossing the city street. I thought of a moon painting the city at night. But I saw a group of zombies waiting at a street corner, looking at them. I froze in terror, pinched myself to check if all this was for real. I thought of raindrops caressing the city's heart. I thought I saw the zombies hugging each other. Again wondered if my mind was just making things up. I saw a zombie in the city on that particular street that night. Street which I passed every day in and day out. I never visited the street again, but I could still feel the smiling eyes of zombies and the faint hint of a tear in their eyes. So that was the poem. Now, of course, how much you think related the poem is related to the visual, or if it does justice to the visual, is for you to decide. But the point is, the visuals are just to stimulate your creativity and make you write a poem basically. Maybe the end product is very different from the visual, but it's just to stimulate your imagination, and everybody will respond to the same visuals in different ways. So guys, that was it for today. I don't want to make it too long. If you like the video, then please do press the like button if you like the content. And also, this channel is dedicated to poetry, writing, and a lot of other interesting topics are there as well. Do take a look, and if you like what you see, then please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.